Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I'm here today, joined by
The illustrious Dusk.
Dusk, and I'm your other co-host, Josh here. And we're down a co-host today, 90s. He's not here. He had some Mother's Day stuff to take care of, so I had to, so that's very important. I didn't want to take him away from that.
You gotta take care of your mother.
Absolutely. But so it's been a little bit of a while. How you been, Dusk?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. Not much happening. I know we were supposed to do the show Friday, but I had worked like a 13-hour shift the day before Friday, so
Nah, man, you gotta catch yourself up, man. It's all good.
yeah, so I was dead fucking tired. I slept basically all day. I couldn't even get out of fucking bed. I just was.
I feel you. I feel you.
Was dead. So today's gonna be more of a short show since we're one down, more condensed. About 30, 45 minutes, I'm thinking. So nothing big. We're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. We're going to give a review for that. We're going to talk about the trailers that have been coming out recently for The Defenders, Blade Runner 2049, and we're going to talk about the new Wonder Woman trailer that dropped, more footage for that movie that's came out. So if we want to just jump right into it, we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Now, both of us have seen it. You've seen it, right? And I've seen it.
That is correct, sir.
And so I'll start off with you. So just generally, what's your overall impressions of this one?
Compared to the last one, which I greatly enjoyed and I had a lot of fun watching, I have to say it doesn't fall into the sequelitis that most of the Marvel movies had fallen into. That's not to say it doesn't have issues. It does. It has several issues, a little bit of pacing problems here and there, and a couple of not too funny jokes here and there. But I think it hits far more than it misses. It's a solid sequel and a very good extra final act that really solidifies what the tone of the whole movie is about, and I really appreciated it. It's a solid movie, and you should go see it if you get the chance to go.
Okay. So with this movie, I just should start off by saying now I do enjoy it. I do like it. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think it's a lesser film than the first one, and to me, it continues a track record with Marvel. Marvel doesn't really do that well with sequels. They've only had two great sequels, in my opinion, and
Those are
Winter Soldier and Civil War.
fair enough.
Those are only two really, I could say, great sequels that they've had. They've had a lot of missteps. Now, where I rank Guardians of the Galaxy 2 amongst their sequels, I guess I'd put it right behind, those sequels of Winter Soldier and Civil War. I don't think it's as bad as something like a Thor 2.
Oh no, not even close.
Because Thor 2, I think, is like legitimately like a bad film.
Thor 2 is a hot mess.
Yeah.
It's a shame because there was a lot of potential there.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of missed potential there, and I don't think Iron Man 2 was a mess too, but it was still kind of enjoyable. But it's a lot of problems with that movie as well. Avengers 2, I didn't hate it as much as some people probably really disliked it. I came on the latter side of liking it a little bit more, but I still thought that it was
it's a flawed sequel to the Avengers.
Yeah.
It had a lot of fun moments, but yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't capture or even come close to it, and it's a little bit too jumbled for its own good.
Yeah, and so that was so it's compared to the first one, the first Avengers was just so tight and consistent. It's a big drop off there. So going to this one, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the whole it's a little bit in that same way. If it's a little bit jumbled, but not too much, I wouldn't say, like, because a lot of the team splits up, and that allows for a little bit more development in the characters. People like Rocket Raccoon, people like Drax, so you get to explore them a little bit more. Gamora, for instance. So that's a big positive thing about it, because in most of the trailers you see, the beginning of the film opens up with them doing a job for the Sovereign, which are these gold, just the perfect race of people, genetically engineered to be the best people that they can be. And they're doing a job for them that go, to protect batteries for them. There are these precious batteries that are very expensive from this. You see in the the trailer, this giant tentacle creature that comes out the sky. Um,
Which is funny because while I said that this is a solid film and that I think you should go see it, you have to bear in mind there are issues with it. And when I say it passes the sequelitis test, it only just barely does so. You're right, it does have issues, but I did end up liking it, I think, more than disliking it. But one of the missteps I felt right away, well, it was cute at first, but got old real fast, was how you feel about Baby Groot.
really. Well, see, that's a good point because when I was talking about the opening scene of the film with the monster coming in from the sky, it's one of the big issues with this movie is with the first one. The big thing about the first one was nobody knew what to expect from it. It was a lot of like, okay, these are D-list characters. Even in the comic book world, these are like really D-list characters that nobody really cares about that much, at least to my knowledge.
No, nobody gave a shit.
Right. So it's like, okay, Marvel's doing this. Like, okay, how's this gonna work? What are they gonna do? And the first one was like lightning in a bottle. It was like, wow. And for a lot of people, it's their favorite Marvel film out of all the films. It had so much life.
It
So
yeah,
much fun.
it caught so many people by surprise. Everything had a meaning to it. All the characters, well, they all kind of did something. I actually rewatched Guardians 1 in preparation for Guardians 2, and you can tell while this is a continuation, there's just something about that first one that just happened to blend it all together.
Right. Well, that's a lot of it could be, everybody loves a good origin story of a team coming together.
But that's the funny thing about it. What's interesting is while Peter is a protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
it's not it's not concerned with the origin. It's more of this one moment that propels all of them to somehow all come together.
Right.
And the sequel more focuses on, well, all right, what happens to all right, they're all going to go on an adventure happily ever after. The sequel is more of, yeah, but Rocket's still an asshole.
Right.
And Drax is starting to get on my nerves now. And this unspoken thing between Gamora and Peter, all right, that's starting to get old now. And can they still can they be a family, or are they just a bunch of mercs? Like, how long can this last?
Right. What's the major thing that's holding them together? Um, and
And I think that is interesting. We haven't really explored that too much with any other team. With
right.
others, it's just been, oh, for Calamity's sake. That really doesn't show up until much, much later.
Right. Which we might get into later because I might want to do a little bit of light of a spoiler talk there.
Okay, no problem.
And so with this one, to go back to a little bit my earlier point. So yeah, the first one was like lightning in the bottle, and then here comes the second one. So maybe people are expecting that same. So now there's expectations built on this one, and there's a lot of callbacks in the second one to the first one. Like the opening scene of the movie, you mentioned Baby Groot. Like he has a dancing sequence, just like how Peter danced in the first one to "Come and Get Your Love." But in then this one, it's Mr. Blue Sky from Electric Light Orchestra. It's Groot dancing, and it's
Just recently entered into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, by the way.
Electric Light Orchestra did.
Yeah, they
Oh,
just yeah, I know
oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
them and Tupac.
Oh, okay, that's pretty nice. Yeah, good for them. That's pretty nice. So you see that parallels there, like, and then you saw in the trailer like how Groot's on Rocket's shoulder where he's firing the guns, and then how like in the first one it was a vice versa that situation when it was Rocket on Groot's arm on his shoulder, and then he was firing the guns and stuff like that. So you can kind of see that like it does a tons of those types of callbacks, to the previous film. And now it doesn't stop it from being any less funny. I think there's still a lot of really good jokes here in the film. Like Mantis, I think is a really great character, character they introduced in this film. I think her and Drax got some great humor together.
They do. He talks on her so bad though.
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's funny at first, but eventually it just gets mean. And like, oh come on.
yeah, I mean, so like their whole banter back and forth is entertaining. I don't know. I mean, you say you didn't really like Baby Groot, or Baby Groot got on your nerves a little bit. I thought that. I mean, he was still adorable to me all the way through.
I never said he wasn't adorable. I guess I'll come to my reasons why I didn't absolutely love this movie, but what I do think you should still see it.
Okay.
And Baby Groot is just a smaller problem of what the major problems I had, but it did show my problems with ultimately, which was pacing.
Pacing.
This
Yeah.
movie is going a mile a minute, and I do appreciate the color. It's better than the sepia tone or the blue hues of the Avenger movies, and
Hmm.
or the really downgraded muted colors of the Marvel Defenders, which we'll get into later,
Right.
the Defender series. So I really appreciate that this is eye candy. I really admire the absolutely wonderful color design and style and costumes that they did. They did a phenomenal job capturing the 1970s Jack Kirby comics and styles of that era. And combined with that nostalgia music, it really does work in a very satisfying way. In fact, I'm actually more pleased at one of their use of music has even more of a point than it did in the previous one, and it had a point. It becomes a very big deal later in, and we'll maybe talk about that in spoilers later. But
Mm.
it's from that get go, I really did like it. But as the movie continued, I did feel pacing issues. Like I don't know about you, but while I did like uh what's his name? The blue headed guy,
Yandu.
Merle. Yondu,
Yandu.
thank you, Yondu.
All right.
Yondu's great. He's one of the best character arcs that's getting in this movie. I'm just gonna say that right away. Something happens to him, and you find out a little bit more about his past, and things happen, and he really does develop one of the biggest character arcs of this movie. However, I feel the plot surrounding him with the Ravagers are completely unnecessary.
Right. Yeah. I mean that's
It's
why I think.
absolutely it's there for a joke, but the main plot, I don't spoilers, you've probably seen it from the trailers, but I don't know how you feel about Kurt Russell, but I greatly enjoyed him as Ego.
I did as well. I
I
mean,
think
like I think
yeah, go
that's where it
ahead.
gets into the sequelitis thing, like where there's a whole subplot with the Ravengers and like a mutiny that happens with them, and then you got to deal with the Sovereign, the people that they screwed over in the at the beginning of the movie, and then it has to deal with this other thing with Peter discovering Ego, and so it's a lot of these different panning to different things and trying to keep it all in place. And that's where you get into that sequelitis things of sometimes too much shit going on, you know too many things going on, too many stuff to focus on. It's like the whole Ravager thing, like you mentioned, like that really could have been disposed. Like that seemed a little bit unnecessary. Taserface is a new Ravager we get introduced to, and the whole thing that happens with him is just like, well, that could have, I don't know, that could have been lessened or just dispensed, and it seemed kind of pointless.
I thought it was funny, and he did even get a character. He even the dumb side character gets a small character arc right to the bitter end. But
Right.
while that could have been taking up, kind of Peter and his father and the relationship between that, which is kind of the main front of the whole story,
Right.
kind of just gets pushed away as really the side story. It's more of Rocket's film, if anything else.
Really, you think
It's more
so?
of Rocket and Groot's than really anyone else's. And then eventually we're like, oh yeah, I guess Peter and his dad, that too. I'm like, I wanted more. And while it and I liked everything with all the crews, jokes, and hangouts, it's when they kind of get in the middle that it starts to lose itself a little bit. It starts to drag a bit, and I'm unsure. While the third act really do fix a lot of those issues and ends on a fairly strong note,
Uh huh.
it's that middle part that you could have tightened this up. You could have lost this and not missed a beat. We could have had more of this and made it feel less sequelitis. But I mean, and that's a hard precedent. If you removed a lot of the scenes later, you wouldn't get a lot of the character development that everybody gets. And I don't know. It's a tough call to make, and I understand why they went that route. But for me, there was just some stuff that you could have cut out to make it a much more smoother journey. Also, I felt like they kind of doubled down on everything from the previous movie. Like
Right.
if you liked kind of what this did, oh, we didn't just double, we tripled or quadrupled this. Oh, Drax, did you like Drax comment occasionally? Oh, he's gonna get dozens of more comments. Okay, but some of them just fall flat and try way too hard. There's a scene where he's explaining Ego's explaining where he comes from and his origin,
Uh
and
huh.
Drax just blurts out, a joke, and it just goes on for so long that you're like, and cut, please stop.
Right.
I'm not really interested in that comment right now.
Mm,
I'm kind of interested in the story right now.
okay.
But again, that's me. I don't know what else to say. It does have,
I'm,
yeah, I don't know.
I can
Without getting into spoilers, that's all I can really say about it.
okay. I can kind of
There's
see where
just
you're
a
coming
few things here
from
and there.
there. I can kind of see where you come from there.
Well, what do you feel about it, man?
Well, I'm just gonna give my overall impression real quick, give a rating, and then we're gonna move into spoiler talk real quick.
Yeah.
So like I said, I don't think this is as strong as the first one, but I still think it's a fun, enjoyable film. I think that you're right. Every character does get a nice arc, and the big theme of this movie is all about family. I mean, that's really a big theme of this film. And I will say with this film, I will think that the third act is much better than the third act in the first one, but the first two halves of the first one is much better than this one, and in the sequel. So I mean, I'm going to see it again tomorrow because I did have a lot of fun with it. So I would give it a thumbs up, and I would say tune in most definitely. So I'll throw it back to you to give a rating real quick, and we'll move into spoilers.
Oh yeah, yeah. While I have some issues with it here and there, it didn't stop me from greatly enjoying this movie. I have to admire the practical effects, the costume design, the complete colorful and artwork. I also have to admire that even in its pacing problems, even whatever issues I may have with it, everyone had an arc.
Right.
Everyone,
Yeah.
even the sidest of side characters, and that can only really be done with one sole focus on a writer specifically. If I remember, it's like what
James
was this?
Gunn.
James Gunn. James Gunn.
Right.
I think that's a good thing. Like movies should. Things have a beginning and an end, and there's an arc for a character. Regardless of how I feel about some of the pacing problems and some of the comedy moments, which are a bit dull, and yeah, it might be a little bit too over for my taste, a little too much tonal issues here and there. I greatly had fun. I'm definitely going to see this again, and I think you should too. You definitely should tune in. Just be mindful of what I said, and if you can get past all that stuff, you're gonna have a fun time.
Yeah. So, is there anything you want to talk about specifically in spoilers, or
Uh let's start with you this time. Is there anything you want to kind of talk about? I have just a minor gripe and spoilers, but
okay, we'll see. Kurt Russell,
mhm.
as the villain in this movie. First of all, they did the whole making a older person look young again. That looked really amazing. Like Kurt Russell. I mean, because we all
90% makeup.
90% makeup, really.
90% makeup. Hardly any CGI. That was all makeup, almost all makeup.
Wow, because I mean, it looked really phenomenal.
Yeah, I grew up watching Escape from New York and The Thing, and I saw a young Kurt Russell. It looked exactly like him.
Yeah, I mean, it was like wow, I mean, that was pretty amazing. I mean, him as a villain, I thought was pretty good because you don't want Kurt Russell to ever be a villain because he's just so
Oh no.
likable and charming. And I mean, do you think Chris Pratt is the Kurt Russell of this generation? I mean,
He needs to get better at serious acting.
okay, yeah, because there are moments where because when it's revealed that Kurt Russell was the one who did kill his mother, he put the brain tumor, in, which I thought was dumb. I don't know why Ego would tell him
Again,
that.
yes, that is that is
I don't
my
know.
minor to major gripe. While everything else kind of flows and whatever my personal feelings on it, regardless of which,
Mhm.
I still think it's a solid movie all the way through and it carries itself well and its writing is very good. That's the one moment where I trip and go, why the fuck would he say that?
Right.
And there's no hint of, and it doesn't flow from what he had done beforehand and what he had expressed. They have this whole conversation beforehand on this song, which ends up being kind of the theme of the movie this time, which is
What?
Brandy, You're a Fine Girl
Right.
by Looking Glass. Kind of a one-hit wonder band, but very good song. And they both kind of bond over this song, this love of this song. And he describes that it was his favorites with Peter's mother.
Hmm.
And he describes himself and Peter as the sailor, one's giving gifts and Brand and his mother being Brandy, and that they all have a calling, that they have a life and a love beyond their mortal desires, and that they have to be better than that. And but you do see hints of sadness at that. You do see this really leading up to this kind of morally gray character where you're not really sure where he kind of falls. And with a single writing line, you undo all of the gray you had presented further.
Mm.
With that, oh, I gave her I gave her cancer. There's no there needed more build up, in my opinion. There needed to be a moment where they kind of snapped him out of the indoctrination. I felt that was a little too easy.
All right.
Just especially when they were about to show up very soon afterwards and help him out. They could have easily fit that in where Mantis described it, and they were trying to break him out of his indoctrination. Just seeing the grand universe and this plan, and he wants to be part of his father, and then realizing that maybe his father's plan is carried from loneliness, is carried from a insane thought of millions of years of loneliness, and the chance that he had for it, he ruined because he was so ingrained in this one concept.
All right.
But instead, they just immediately plunge him into villain territory, and I felt that where they were going was much more interesting. Where yes, he's still a villain. Don't get me wrong, and what he did is horrible.
Right.
He murdered like thousands of children, his own children, looking for the perfect one. And then in that one moment with Peter and his family, he realized for a brief moment, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all that I've been doing is wrong. And maybe that could have been an interesting dynamic between a guilt-ridden ego, or at least even maybe a subconscious guilt. But he still goes forward within it, and it's a reluctant death.
Right.
But in the just to kind of get the action started, they're like, "Oh no, but I put a tumor in her brain." And to me, immediately I went, "Oh, you just ruined basically 2 hours of setup
Right.
to a really interesting and just made up a straight up villain."
And then it turns into kind of like a Superman fight, and
Yeah.
like I was like, oh god. But I mean, the visual joke was kind of funny when he
Oh,
did,
with the Pac-Man, yeah.
yeah, when he did turn to Pac-Man. That was funny.
And they referenced that beforehand.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so
Now,
that was
I have
nice.
no problem with that initial fight. That could have easily worked out even in the other one, and I had no problem with the you got to use your heart and the that he's been using his head for a while and trying to think his way out, and that even described how he's piloting the ship. He wasn't using his instincts because he was afraid of them. But
Mhm.
again, there wasn't enough set up to kind of really explain that, because to me, I felt that Peter was the one who had been using his heart the most.
Right. I
If there
mean,
was any character in the entire damn movie, and I felt like that was just a quick thing. But
yeah.
and I just I felt that there was such a great setup for Kurt Russell as a interesting and intricate villain that they kind of just decided to go the quick route,
Yeah.
and that was a shame.
So what do you think this villain Ego ranks amongst the other Marvel villains? You think
Oh, he's one of the top.
top? Okay. So
Even when they disregarded the moral grayness they could have gotten with him,
mm,
he's still a great villain. All that did was just annihilate possibilities, and I feel ashamed of that because like, oh, they could use Kurt Russell later, or they could do this. I don't know about you, but I still hold that hope that Kurt Russell isn't completely gone.
uh, I mean, because I don't know. In the comics, I believe like can Ego die in the comics, or
Yes, Ego has died several times in the comics.
and they brought him back. Do
Yes.
you know how they brought him back?
Um, slowly regenerative over time.
Okay.
Slowly regenerative over time. Another celestial comes in and resurrects him for other nefarious plans and takes him over. I mean, his planet in itself, the nutrients from the planet or it is incredibly pricey and would fetch a lot of price. I would have no doubt that I think the collector at one point even collected Ego, like the brain from Ego. I think at one point, I don't quote me on it. I think that would actually be an interesting way of bringing it back. Was Ego at the very end of Infinite Wars has like a small jar of a slowly recuperating Ego.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, because another spoiler. So it looks like in Volume 3, Adam Warlock is going to be the villain, and like it gets a because do you think that James Gunn just introduced the Sovereign just to bring in Adam Warlock as a setup
Probably.
for the third film?
Yeah, because they in the original comics, Ego was not Peter Quill's father. It was actually Jaysor,
Right.
which was part of the Spartax planet, which was I believe was an enemy of the Kree, and they were just a separate empire in its own right, and they just decided to go with it, which is fine. I mean, in all honesty, what was important more was the dynamic, and the celestial added to Peter's character is actually very interesting, and I'm curious. I don't think we've seen the last of Peter using celestial powers.
Really? Because it looked like at the end of the film, like you saw the blue light go out in his
Right, but
hand.
that doesn't stop his genes. If
Mm.
one celestial being can make power, what's to stop Peter from learning how to control his? Now it's just said if you Ego had somehow been able to cultivate that light within himself, the celestial power within him. What's
Mm.
to say and he needed Peter to help cultivate it together.
Right.
It all means that he could probably if he could find a way to cultivate that light, probably be able to find it. Also, did you I don't know. It just and maybe that's just me just being wanting to see Kurt Russell again. But I did feel as if, even though they did kind of treat him a little rough, and it was a little too fast to get to the end
Right.
after they've taken so much of their time to get to that point, it
Uh,
felt a little rushed.
so okay. I guess we'll talk about I guess a possible spinoff now. At the film, Yandu does die, and
Hmm.
then they do reference the fact that Yandu was part of this other team that were
The
like the original Guardians back
Yeah,
in the
the original
'70s.
Guardians of the
So, do you
Galaxy.
think they'll possibly do a spinoff with Sylvester Stallone and Michelle
I
Yeoh?
think they'll probably do like a Netflix series.
There's no way Netflix has enough money to do that. To
Look, Sylvester Stallone is not hot commodity like it used to be.
I mean, but he's still
They might do one film, okay? With Sylvester Stallone, they might.
right.
With Sylvester, with a smaller, if they had someone else other than Sylvester Stallone, I would have said, yeah, they should probably do a Netflix series.
But I mean, that's
But I don't know. Honestly, that's one of the few. While most of the movie earns its marks, and besides that, really did big gripe about why would he just say that, and it kind of breaks character for Ego, and really rushes the ending. That probably is the one moment where I went, above all else, like, you guys haven't earned that. I don't care about I don't Sylvester Stallone in the original Guardians. I could care less. I don't know any of these guys. You
mm,
don't just get a separate movie. You haven't earned it.
mm,
Guardians had to earn their movie. It was such a weird premise. They had to. By the end, everyone loved it because every character kind of earned themselves
right.
to be part of the cinematic universe. You don't just walk into a cinematic universe.
So basically, so the whole crew of Guardians is going to be in Infinity War as well as Nebula. Is Mantis as well? She's going to be. I think she's going to
Yeah,
be.
Mantis was part of also the Guardians.
Okay, so she will also be in Infinity War.
Most likely, or they'll just drop her off and give her a home.
Mm,
Because I don't know. I mean, she that Peter is technically like the only Peter and Drax are technically the only family she has left, if at all.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. The post credit scenes. I mean, it's nothing. I thought they were possibly going to tie in to Thanos and him maybe
Yeah, that's what
losing.
disappointed me the most. There was nothing that really pointed them to Thanos in any way, especially when he was talked a lot in this movie.
Yeah. So I mean, it was still fun. I mean, the Stan Lee cameo is the best cameo ever. Basically, I mean, I think this is the best one they've ever had. Him
Better
talk.
than Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
I'm sorry, Amazing Spider-Man, where he's in that library and the books are happening, is listening to music. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
No, but it's funny. He was talking to the
The
Watchers.
Watchers. Yeah. So that's pretty cool, and that's
I thought that was owned by Fox.
I read some article like they have like a weird deal with like they'll like trade sometimes like okay, hey, we'll do this for you. You know how like in Deadpool they had Negasonic Teenage Warhead or something like that.
Yeah.
I think there was like a trade is like, hey, we give you this, we'll let you have this if you give us this or something. Like there's like they do trades sometimes.
Yeah, because if I
And
remember, yeah, Watchmen is the Watchers are very, very close to the Fantastic Four
yeah,
and Galactus and Silver Surfer mythos.
yeah. So
So I thought they owned all that property into the Celestial stuff. So I was surprised to see the Watchers like, oh shit.
yeah,
Why don't is like my only hope is that one day Fox will just give up and give the Fantastic Four back to Marvel and they can actually make a decent movie.
yeah, yeah. Let's hope. And
Because I mean, it better be better than Four Fanstick.
yeah, I mean anything will be better than that. I think. Uh, I think I mean, this is a night because it's good that Guardians it's in its own world. It can do its own thing. It can have
I
fun.
kind of I
Mm,
kind of wish that it'll just stay that way.
yeah, I mean, and then you got
Um,
Thor Ragnarok, which is going to be more of that space stuff.
which I actually think was the best thing for it.
Yeah,
Look, if Thor Ragnarok, if Thor 2, The Dark World explain anything, it just at that point like no, I'm not going to take Thor seriously. You got to ham it up.
right.
You got like this character just cannot be treated like your Iron Man or your other characters. He's not going to have that kind of depth.
Yeah,
Just make him have fun.
yeah. These other post credit scenes. What was the other one? There was one. Okay, we get the Sylvester Stallone one with their own team. The Stan Lee one. There was like three other ones. I can't remember because it was like five of those things. Do you remember the other three?
I'm trying really hard at the moment. They were there were those in the middle where I wasn't really expecting them.
Oh, the teenage Groot. There was that one.
Yeah, Teenage Groot.
We see that he's gonna be pretty much. You see his growth. He's gonna be a full grown Groot again during the Infinity War. So you see he's gonna be a valuable member of the team again, pretty much. When he's grown again. So it's nice. But I mean, I can't remember the other two they had, but it was a bunch.
Oh, it was the first mate for Yondu was practicing with the whistle
Oh, okay, yeah, that one he
with
stabbed.
whistle arrow and it like stabbed Drax in the neck, which I did laugh hilariously when that happened and he just walked away.
Yeah, it was really fun. Real quick, did you like this soundtrack better than the other one?
That's actually a toughie. I think the first movie had a lot of one-hit wonder songs
Mm-hmm.
where there were a lot of except for maybe 10 cc's I'm Not in Love. That 10 cc is actually a really good band, but a lot of it were one-hit wonders, interesting songs. Pina Colada.
Did that guy ever make another hit after that? No, right?
Not really. Like the Pina Colada song is kind of their own one and only hit. 10cc went on. All those guys were amazing composers. They all went off and did their own thing.
Oh,
And other bands like George and Cream, I believe, and other stuff. But this one had more bands that had more than one hit, so it really depends on your flavor. I personally liked this soundtrack a little bit more,
mm, okay.
but I really liked the other one too. So it's a hard toss up. It really is. I did like the themes they brought up in this soundtrack though, and then the previous one.
Okay. All right.
This one, the music was explained, and I'm glad it introduced a lot of people to the oldies. This one, I think, went even further and expressed why it's so important to Peter, and that it is not just Peter; it's his whole family. Music was incredibly important to all of them.
Yeah, it seemed like Rocket was more into the music this time than Peter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he was trying to set up the machine. He was like, and then he even asked them to play the music while Yondu was killing a bunch of guys. He's like,
yeah, that scene. Oh my god,
yeah.
just killed hundreds of people.
I mean, that was pretty amazing. You see the bodies falling while you have this
Yeah,
sweet.
the entire time I was watching that, I was, why does he need anyone else?
Yeah, that's a good
Like,
point.
if you can just kill all those people with that damn arrow, why are you even here?
Did Rocket even kill anybody? Or I mean, he shot.
Oh yeah, he killed he shot people through the door and killed
Yeah,
a couple of people.
just a couple, just
But
two.
it was mostly just he's watching the entire security cams and just
Yeah, and even Groot got to kill one guy, so that was pretty nice.
yeah, the guy who tortured them the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, fun movie. Has some flaws. Has some personal things that make me bother, but not to stop me from seeing it again or many times over.
Right. Okay, and so gonna move out of that. Gonna talk about trailer talk real quick. First,
Speaking of Marvel,
yeah, gonna go into some more Marvel shit. Defenders, basically the team up of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Finally get to see them all together on screen together. So what's your impressions of this? What do you think?
Looks fun.
Looks fun. Okay.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
all right. So you got Matt Murdock. Matt Murdock is Daredevil was a runaway smash.
Right.
Many people consider it one of the best Marvel properties to have ever happened.
Really? Like better
I mean,
than the movies, or you talking about just TV shows?
well, as a TV show,
Oh, okay.
by far is considered one of the best. Some people even do consider Marvel's Daredevil, the season one, as one of the better properties that they have. And that's, I mean, some people. I wouldn't say all, just like some. Me personally, I just think it's a very good TV show.
Right.
That was a very. I didn't think they would ever take it that seriously, and yet it somehow found a way to work.
For,
Uh,
for me,
yeah,
like to rank all these shows. I mean,
yeah,
Daredevil season one is it was the first, and
yeah,
then everyone since then. Okay, you got to do the origin episode for the villain. You got to do the origin episode for the heroes and show their backstory and all that sort of stuff. So it followed up. All these other kind of followed a pattern after that a
yeah.
little bit. Season two, the first half of it of Daredevil, I really love. Like the whole thing with the Punisher. I think that could have been its own season, really.
hmm
Um, but then it trailed off a little bit with the whole Electra thing,
Yeah,
and
we've talked about it a bit. I don't know if we have, but I've mentioned that I feel that Daredevil season two should have just been two separate seasons.
yeah, I
The
mean,
first half should have been one complete season with him. They could have even made a shorter season, and then the other half would have been Daredevil season three
yeah, I mean, I
with
totally agree with
Elektra,
that.
and that would have been a great introduction to Elektra.
Yeah, and with a lot of these Marvel shows, it's like if you just cut off just a few episodes, like 8 episodes, like Jessica Jones, which is my second favorite after these shows,
Mm,
is like if you just cut off just like 8 episodes, that'd have been perfect, and that would have been
yeah,
really great. But then you had to kind of, it's a lot of you got to drag it out. Like it really doesn't need. A lot of these shows don't really need 13 episodes.
yeah. She could have been perfectly happy with 10 or 11.
Yeah, I'd say even maybe 6 or 8, really,
Damn.
because it's like Daredevil has
No,
other.
I get what you're saying. I understand.
Yeah, because Daredevil has other stuff to do. Like he can fight thugs, and like Jessica Jones doesn't really do that too much. I mean, she investigates stuff. You don't really get to see her much as a PI. But she's just got the Purple Man. And it's just her getting the Purple Man, then he gets away again. Getting the Purple Man again, then he gets away again.
Now,
It's a lot of that. And then I guess the third one for me would be Luke Cage, which suffers from the same problem of strong, but then it trails off. I mean, I think it was a mistake them killing Cottonmouth and then introducing the other villain. What was his name? What was his name? The crazy
Diamondback?
yeah, Diamond, the crazy motherfucker.
Yeah.
Who was just way over the top.
Crazy Bobble Man.
Yeah, I mean he was just way over the top, I thought, and that got
Uh,
really crazy.
yeah, we've talked about it before, man. You either were with that train when it went derailing or you stayed on the track.
Yeah, and then Iron Fist was just terrible. That show fucking sucks. And even in this,
Oh, man. Come on.
trailer, Danny Rand still looked like he fucking sucks. Uh,
Ah, come on, man.
I mean Finn Jones,
He-
I don't think he can act. I don't think the guy can act. I really don't.
I think he does fine for what the part asks him to do. Look, I'm not going back on my word. I still stick by the rating of a 6 out of 10 for that show. But I'm going to be a bit honest. It probably should be more around a 5. It's an average show. It's an average show that almost comes out to slightly above average. But yeah, I don't think it's Finn's. It's not Finn's fault for why it sucks. I think he gets a bad rap. But yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
we'll see because the showrunners that's doing this show is also doing they did Daredevil season 2, which is a very strong season. So we'll see because the guy who did Iron Fist, he did the worst seasons of Dexter. The seasons I hate of this, like the last two. I don't know if you ever watched Dexter, but
I never care, but that does explain a lot, actually.
yeah. So
It explains why there's not a lot of fighting and mostly just politics.
yeah. So
And a show about kung fu.
so we'll see if he's bad in this, and it's okay. It's official.
Yeah, no, I will completely agree. If he is terrible in this, then I will eat my words. I will eat crow.
So do you think that Claire will be the Phil Coulson of this, where she'll die, and then that'll be the thing that unites them all?
I think it'd be very cliche if she dies.
Mhm.
She can certainly get her ass kicked.
Right. So,
I think, in a weird way, I think it's Danny Rand who's actually going to make them all stay together.
really.
Danny, I like his character. I like the idea of Danny Rand. I feel his execution has been a little bit wonky, but I think it's still stable enough that it works out. And Finn Jones does a good job displaying, or at least I think he does an okay job of displaying that he's he's a naive kid. He
Mm,
grew up in a monastery. He didn't have much socialization. Most of the monks didn't say jack shit to him, and he didn't really have much, if any, friends or anything.
right.
So he has this idea of I want to fight evil. I want to stop this. So Jessica, she's just a hard ass.
Mm,
She's a cynical hard ass who just is a boozer and just doesn't give a shit about anything. Luke Cage is this. He wants to do the right thing. He's an ex-convict who's the heart of gold, trying to do the right thing. And Daredevil is just trying to get past his demons and do the right thing. And I think Danny would be, ironically enough, is the glue to kind of keep them together. He's that kind of bright spot, that naive bright spot who's like, we can do this. I've got the Iron Fist. You're unbreakable. You're a ninja, and whatever the hell you are, you got super strength. I think we, as a team, we can do what we can't do singly, and I think that it'll show that he's kind of more the one to kind of like, hey, the kind of the happy-go-lucky. Let's do this. We can do this. We have the power to do so. Let's not do this alone. Uh, now, I would say though, but when you're saying, I think he's the good heart that'll keep them together, but probably what keeps them together is Stick.
right.
Stick's like, look, the hand's gonna kick your ass. You better work together.
Mm,
Get your shit together, basically.
yeah. Maybe.
Now the fight choreography better be a hell of a lot better than it was in Iron Fist.
You see, they got a hallway fight. Hallway fight. So.
Yeah, I was gonna have a hallway fight. You know what? That was the best part of Iron Fist was that hallway fight with the axe fighters.
Oh, that shit was terrible too.
I'm just saying, of the things to display, I am not changing it, but yeah, the fight choreography was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, even the
And a show about kung fu.
yeah, the episode of Game of Death, which was supposed to be one of the best episodes, was fucking terrible. That sucked. So
Yeah, no, I feel you, brother. I feel you.
yeah, so
Hey, man, I wanted that thing to work. It just doesn't.
yeah,
When you go back, it is by far the weakest.
yeah.
It's not, but it's not like a 35. It's more like a 50.
So yeah, I mean, it looks fun. I'm interested to see Sigourney Weaver as a villain. You know,
Yeah, she's not in the comics at all.
right? So it's
So I'm curious to what her character is going to be. Does she have superpowers, or is she just now? I think one on a major complaint I never really got to mention in my review that did bother me the longer I waited after like a couple of days afterwards as I thought about it.
mm,
The Hand are fucking pussies in
why
the Iron Fist.
why you say that?
They're a bunch of kids, and how is one guy
Oh,
going to fight the Hand when in Daredevil season 2 they were these just unstoppable thing,
mm.
this just undead monstrosities that cannot be stopped. And Iron Fist, they kind of appeared so weak.
Well,
One kid from a monastery could beat up a couple of these guys. They should have just came in him in droves, and he should have just realized that he had no chance, or
uh,
upped his power with the Iron Fist. I mean, at the very end, his Iron Fist blows up like a building and shatters some glass. That's it.
right. I
That's
think it
that's the
well
best you got.
that it was like it was really weird. Like apparently there's two different hands or something like that. I guess, and there was like
Yeah, that's just a lazy way to excuse that the fact that he just doesn't get killed immediately.
yeah. So I mean, that shit was stupid.
I'm sorry. I know the more I talk, I end up talking more shit about it, but
Yeah.
it
So
happens.
let's move on to another trailer because let's move on to the Blade Runner 2049, which is a sequel to the 1983 Blade Runner that was so very influential in film. Are you excited for this?
If it didn't have the director who made Sicario, Arrival, and Enemy,
Mhm.
then no.
Yeah, that's good
I
to
would
know.
have said it's a cash grab, but I see a lot of new imagery, a lot of old imagery from the previous Blade Runners, but when they said that director, oh, we're picking this guy to do Blade Runner, I'm like, you couldn't have picked a better person.
Right.
Aside from maybe Ridley Scott, but Ridley Scott's kind of a bit
Yeah.
hit and miss now.
Are you gonna see Alien Covenant?
Sure, I'll see Alien Covenant. It'll probably suck, but I'll see it.
I don't know. I'm hearing it's like a okay slasher movie. It's like a good monster movie. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I said I'll probably go see it.
Yeah. I mean, this looks pretty good. I'm not a really big fan of Blade Runner. I mean, I'm not really
Yeah.
that big into it. I thought it was maybe a little boring. I mean,
Yeah.
I respect its influence and how
Yeah.
it has influenced
Oh, it's
anime.
greatly influenced almost the science fiction genre for years now.
Yeah, and people pay tons of homage to it.
I mean, shit, the Ghost in the Shell movie that came out recently is basically an homage to Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Even the anime was kind of a homage to Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, totally. The imagery, the everything. Yeah, I mean, totally. Um, so I mean, what are you expecting from this movie? Now, do you think?
I expect the contemplativeness of Blade Runner to still be intact.
Mm,
I think while they're showing a lot of action scenes, I think most of it will be slow paced, methodical, kind of like the other one. And if you're not down with that, you're just not gonna have a fun time. Now, I do think they'll have a more action scenes than they did in the first one. In the first one, action scenes were few and far between,
right.
and they were more tailored as kind of realistic. They were just kind of chase scenes, and Deckard was, depending on how you looked at it, was either human or a replicant.
Do you
And
think that?
yeah, go ahead.
Do you think at all they'll pull some stuff where? Because it was like
Well,
kind of like a mystery. Do you think they'll say he's a replicant, but he just got old? They know how the
yeah, no, actually, this Martin from Double Toasted actually said something that I feel the same way. I think it'll be really lame if they're like, oh, but he was a replicant, but I guess I gauge. Oh, fuck you.
Right.
Honestly, I'm actually a little bit disappointed that he is in there
Mm,
because I almost would have preferred that he never show up.
right. Well, I mean, you gotta have Harrison Ford in there
I
because
mean, do you?
because look, it's Blade Runner. People know Harrison
They
Ford
could have
from.
just had reruns. Like, can we show previous images of your character Deckard?
I mean, people want that. They want Harrison Ford back. I mean, it's what they want back. I
You
think a
know
lot
he's
of
gonna
people.
die in this movie, right?
It's a possibility. Yeah, he'll probably die in the
Oh
first
no,
one.
Harrison Ford. He's made it his case. Like he only appears in things now to die, so he
Well,
can just kill off his characters.
I mean, he does love Indiana Jones. He says he wants to play Indiana Jones forever. So I don't think he wants to.
Well, I mean, after Crystal Skull, maybe wait on that.
Yeah. So I mean, he's up for Indy 5 and whatever comes after that.
Indy
So
500.
yeah. So I mean, whatever. I mean, that's the character he loves to play. So
I did really appreciate the Atari logo.
oh yeah,
I
it's
thought that
amazing.
was really funny. Atari is kind of a mess right now and is not the same Atari it used to be, but from the retrospective of those 80s where Atari was the shit, that's really neat. I thought that was a really nice kind of 80s nod to this 80s retro future that kind of started with Alien and Blade Runner.
I mean, I got really good hopes for it because of the director, because he's done some
Yeah.
great work in the past.
And I do like Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling is
I,
very
I, I do have
versatile.
problems from his reactions to the trailers. He seems kind of bored.
Well, you see him getting tense. You saw that one scene where he's getting mad and he's
Right, but
yelling and
I don't know. I hope his acting range is better than what I'm seeing in the trailers.
yeah.
Uh, but then again, to be fair, even Harrison Ford in the original Blade Runner, he had only a couple of emotions.
Yeah.
So I'm being fair. I'm actually I'm not excited for it, but I am eager to see it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm eager to see it. I'm interested. Maybe
Yeah,
interested is a better word.
and I think that's the best thing you can give for something like this, especially for a revival. Lord knows, I hope it won't become like another reboot, like The Thing or RoboCop
Right.
or any of those other things.
I kind of like the reboot of the thing. I thought it was a fun monster movie. Actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
would have been better if they kept the practical effects.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the practical effects are way better in the original in the
Yeah.
John Carpenter thing.
No, I mean they had a lot of practical effects already pre-made
Oh,
for the
really?
movie. Oh yeah, no, they went out of the way to be as practical as possible, and then the studio saw the original take and went, "We need more CG," and they just CG'd everything,
No, that's fucking
all
bullshit.
their work over, CG'd all their work over, and there was nothing they could do about it.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
It was so bullshit that they made a Kickstarter campaign called Harbinger Down using practical effects in the styling of Thing because they wanted to do it so badly and they felt they never got that chance.
it's a big missed opportunity. It really
It
is.
is.
Yeah. So we'll talk about our final trailer of the night. We'll talk about the new Wonder Woman trailer. Rise of the Warrior, I think is the official name of this. The final trailer because it's coming out pretty soon. It's coming out in a few weeks.
Damn.
June 2nd is when it's coming out. So how did you like the look of this trailer?
It's certainly better than. I'd say it's certainly better than the previous Inklings. Like I have a little hope on this one.
Okay. So do you think this will finally break the mold? This will be the good DCEU movie.
This better be.
I mean,
They're breaking my heart. The only one I've kind of liked the most, and that's saying something, is Suicide Squad.
really? Okay.
Suicide Squad was the one I liked the most, and it's only because I liked the characters in it, not the movie they were around.
Really?
Like if they could have just picked up those characters and put them in a completely different story, I would have enjoyed that just as much.
Oh, okay.
The story they were in was actually crap.
I mean, if I had to say which is the best one, I go Man of Steel. I guess. I mean, that's.
Yeah, no, but the fact that you say "I guess,"
I mean, it's the most one that makes sense.
yeah, no, I feel you. Again, that's my personal inkling. Is I personally liked those characters. I hated what they did to the Superman character in Man of Steel and Batman, especially Batman versus Superman. I hate what they did to Superman. He's one of my favorite heroes.
Right.
And I'm happily surprised. I got kind of that vibe from Wonder Woman a little bit. It's good to see a superhero who actually wants to do good.
Right.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, because that's what makes
like,
a superhero.
Right. Wonder Woman, one of her lines is, it's my oath to protect these people and do good. It's what I'm here to do. It's all the right. And I'm like, fucking finally. Yeah. Like someone in the DCU does something good because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Like Superman's always the new Superman's moping around. He doesn't really do anything. And Batman's just Captain Murder Pants. He just goes around murdering people.
Psychotic.
And acting gravelly.
He's incredibly psychotic, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely psychotic. So it's good to kind of see. But then again, this is early Wonder Woman.
Right.
This is before the cynical Wonder Woman sees that, mankind doesn't change because, well, we do. But, I mean, I guess when you go back to your island, you expect, all right, wipe my hands of it.
Yeah. I mean, okay. With this one, I mean, Gal Gadot. First of all, she looks very striking. She looks incredible, and I mean, she's very photogenic. The camera does love her, but it's like, can she act? That's the
biggest thing.
Yeah.
Because as much as I dislike Batman, Ben Affleck is great as Batman.
He is. He's a great Batman.
He's a great older Batman. I think he does a great job showing a more grizzled and tired Batman, more worn out, worn down. Yeah. And even Henry Cavill, I think he does an all right job as Superman. He's just not given any good material. The guy can have fun and act. I mean, I've seen The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Guy can clearly have fun. Yeah. Just Zack Snyder's like, mute the colors, mute the characters, mute the writing.
Yeah. I mean, Can't Know Till It comes out in a few weeks, and we're going to review it when it comes out.
I'll be with you right there, brother.
Yeah. So I guess that pretty much wraps up everything, really. Hello, thanks for checking out our content. If you liked it, let us know, and if you didn't, let us know that as well. If you want to see more content, we post every Saturday on SoundCloud and YouTube at The Afternoon Tune. You can also find us through various social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, all one word, at The Afternoon Tune. And if you don't deal with any of that social media stuff, you can also find us through our email at theafternoontune@gmail.com. And don't forget to always stay tuned.